Hello and welcome to another Gryphon walkthrough video. Now this video assumes that you've already set up your Gryphon router as well as the Gryphon app on your smartphone. So if you haven't done those steps yet, go ahead and take a look at the previous videos and come back when you're ready. To begin, go ahead and open the Gryphon app on your smartphone. Now here at the home page, you'll see some information about your routers as well as the user profiles that have been created for you. By default, there are two user profiles, which you can see by clicking the User tab on the bottom of the screen. These user profiles are guest and family, and they can't be deleted. However, something interesting about these profiles is that under Access Control, there is no Manage by Apps option. Now this option becomes really important, especially for profiles for kids and teenagers. So I tend to not use these profiles at all and just make brand new ones. So that's what we're going to do. Now as we begin to set up our parental controls on Gryphon, we're going to keep in mind some of the key tenets of the Internet Safety Plan. The relational aspect of limiting time on devices, as well as the technological ideas of starting at the source and then filling in the gaps. So what we want to do is to make profiles that can cover as many devices as possible to limit the amount of gaps we have to fill in. To start, I'm going to make a profile by clicking at the little user icon in the top right corner and entering the username of shared. These are going to be all the shared devices in the household. So that would be things like smart TVs or gaming systems or other devices that most or all family members use. Now, as you're watching this tutorial, if you notice that your app looks a little bit different than mine, that's totally okay. It's likely due to different versions, or if you're on the Android version while I'm on the smartphone version. All of the key features that I show in this video should be available no matter what version of the Gryphon app you are on though. So the first configuration option you'll see when setting up a user profile is the age group setting. Now the age group provides a base template of controls that it sets for you depending on which option you select. Every control is completely customizable and overridable, but they've provided a template based on their research and understanding of needs in different age groups. For example, the high school age group has safe search and safe YouTube enabled, as well as storing browser history, while the adult age group has none of those set. So for each profile you set up, you'll need to decide on an age group for that profile. I recommend leaning on the lower side than you think you might need, since it will apply a stronger level of controls that can be overridden and lessened by you later on. If you lean towards a higher age group than you think you might need, it will likely miss some controls that you'll want to apply, and if you forget to apply those, they might come back and bite you. So for this example, I'm going to say that my family has one young high schooler and everyone else is younger than that. So for the shared devices, I'm going to select the middle school profile and click the check mark in the top right corner to save it. So now we've created our first profile, but there are no devices assigned to this profile yet. Every time you create a profile, you'll need to manually assign devices to the profile. So with this shared profile selected, I'm going to click the plus button in the bottom right and see all of my devices that are not yet assigned to any user. Now, if there's a device that you're expecting to be on here and it's not, it's likely in one of two places. It's either in a different profile or it has not yet connected to your Wi-Fi since you've set up the Gryphon router. If the device just hasn't connected to your Wi-Fi yet, go ahead and connect it and then come back here and you should see it. If you still don't see it, go ahead and click the Devices tab on the bottom of the screen. Here you can look at all the devices connected to your network and select which user they're assigned to. So if I want my Surface Pro laptop changed instead of to the assigned user of family to the shared profile, I can do that just by clicking it and then clicking the check mark after assigning it to the new user. So back on our user screen, we can now see the Surface Pro laptop in our shared profile. I'll also click the plus button and add a few more, like the smart TV that I want in my shared profile. So under each profile is where you're going to manage all of your parental controls that are available to you on Gryphon. The first thing we'll do is click the Screen Time tab right in the middle of the screen. Here is where we can set up our screen time options. There are two main screen time options included with the base implementation of the Gryphon app. There are also a few extra ones if you choose to get the premium subscription, but we'll talk about those in a different video. The first one is the base amount of screen time allowed for the devices in this profile. So here you can limit the amount of total time spent on each device. So if I only want these devices to be able to be used for 2 hours every day, I can set that here. The other option is for setting different controls at different times of the day. The options they have are homework, bedtime, or suspend. The homework option ties into the access control settings we'll see here in a minute and allows you to set different levels of controls at different times of day. So if I want my kids to be doing homework every day from 4 to 6 p.m., I can set that here. Now we're going to skip the web browsing tab for a minute and go to the access control tab. Here you'll see 3 access control settings: manage by URL, manage by category, and manage by apps. So with the Internet Safety Plan, our goal is always to start at the source to do as much as possible from one location and then fill in the gaps from there. To do that in Gryphon, we're going to first look at the manage by category option. So every single request from every device in this profile that goes across the internet is going to be categorized into one of these categories. For each category, you can set the level of access control you want. The access control settings are first unrestricted, meaning they are always allowed, always blocked, block during homework, or allow only for homework. As you can see here, there are already different settings applied to each of these categories. This is because we chose the middle school profile, and these are the templated controls that they've decided usually fit best for middle schoolers. For each profile you set up, you'll want to look through all of the categories and decide on what level of controls you want to allow. So if, for example, I want to allow my kids to be able to use the Surface Pro laptop to access websites that are categorized under information and reference while they're doing homework, I can set that to allow only for homework. That way it's blocked outside of those homework times, but they can access what they need while doing their homework. And since this is a shared profile, which is on smart TVs, which has streaming services on them, I'm going to make sure that the streaming video is unrestricted, which it already is. So now I can click the Save button in the top right corner, and I've updated those settings. Now real quick, I'm going to scroll to the far right and click the Settings tab. Here you can see the age group we selected when we first created the profile. An important thing to point out is that if you change the age group after you've already set up your profile, it's going to lose all of those configuration settings that you established. So if now I change this age group profile to high school, all of those access control settings are going to be completely different. So I recommend not changing the age group after you've configured the profile. Change the access control settings and whatever else you need to change, but leave the age group as is once it's been created. Now you can see here in Manage by Category that the social network category is set to always blocked. And this is great for me because I want to block most social media, but there is one social media app I do want to allow under this profile, which is Facebook. So instead of unblocking that category, I'm going to just go to the Manage Apps option, and here I can see all of today's most popular apps, including Facebook. You can see it's blocked, and so what I'm going to do is set it to unrestricted so that it's allowed under this profile. Now I could go to Manage by URL and enter facebook.com and unrestrict it that way, but that is not the most efficient nor the most effective way. Oftentimes, social media apps and larger websites will have different URLs that they use to load content like pictures and videos on their pages. So just unblocking that base URL of facebook.com or instagram.com will not allow it to work properly. The Manage Apps category takes this into account and allows you to use the website as desired. So as you set up each of your profiles, make sure to remember to start with Manage by category, then Manage Apps, and then Manage by URL if needed. This will save you a lot of time and energy and allow you to set up controls that make sense to you and are easy to modify and adjust later on. If you only managed by URL and had 1,000 URLs, each with a different level of access control, that would be extremely hard and time-consuming to manage. Now we'll scroll back to the left and click the Web Browsing tab. Here you can see all of the browsing history for all devices in this profile, as well as which ones were blocked and which ones were allowed. Blocked websites will have a little icon next to them indicating that they were blocked, and you can click on them to find out more about that website and even change its access control from there if desired. Next, we'll take a look at the Insights tab, which just gives you a nice quick overview of the type of content being accessed from this profile. One to the right is the Data Usage tab, which is very helpful if you have a limited amount of mobile or Wi-Fi data that you pay for, and you need to track which devices are using a lot of that data to make sure you don't go over every month. And that was my quick overview on the Gryphon app and how to set up a profile. Now on the Internet Safety Plan website, there is a list of example profiles as well as all their access control settings. You can take a look at these profiles and use them as a starting point to set up your own profiles that fit your family's needs.